The dawn of Titans. The vast emptiness of Earth's orbital shipyards glowed with the artificial light of welding torches and assembly drones. Against the backdrop of our pale blue planet, humanity's greatest achievement took shape: the TSS Prometheus, first of the Titan-Class Battleships. At 3 kilometers in length, its titanium alloy hull gleamed like a newborn star, its very existence a defiance of those who claimed humans were too primitive to build such a vessel. Admiral Elena Santos stood at the observation deck of Control Station Alpha, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the final assembly teams complete their work. 30 years of her life had led to this moment. 3 decades of fighting against alien bureaucrats who claimed humanity wasn't ready, of pushing through technological barriers that should have taken centuries to overcome, of proving that humanity deserved more than the table scraps of galactic civilization. Final systems check is complete. Admiral, Commander David Chen's voice came through her neural link. All core systems are responding at optimal levels. Elena allowed herself a small smile. And our friends from the Galactic Oversight Committee. Still insisting this is a violation of at least 6 different technology sharing protocols. The Zentheri representative seems particularly agitated. Let them be agitated, Elena replied, turning away from the viewport to face the holographic displays showing the ship's internal systems. They've had 500 years to decide if we're worthy of joining their precious committee. I'd say we're done waiting for permission. The displays showed streams of data from the Prometheus's quantum core, the heart of the ship and the key to its unprecedented power. Human scientists had cracked the code of stable quantum manipulation decades before the Galactic Committee said it would be possible. It wasn't the first time humanity had proven their estimates wrong, and Elena doubted it would be the last. Message from Earth Command, Chen announced. The President is ready to begin the commissioning ceremony. Elena straightened her uniform and activated her neural link's broadcast function. Across the shipyard, thousands of workers, engineers, and crew members paused in their tasks. The same message would be broadcasting to billions of screens across Earth and its colonies. This is Admiral Santos. All stations, prepare for commissioning sequence. The Prometheus's external lights activated in sequence, illuminating its massive hull. Unlike the smooth, organic shapes favored by most galactic civilizations, the Titan-Class Battleship embraced humanity's preference for bold geometric patterns. Angular armor plates created a fortress in space, while the massive rail gun batteries along its flanks left no doubt about its purpose. This was not just a ship. It was humanity's declaration that they would no longer be ignored. President Sarah Chen's hologram appeared on the command deck, her expression solemn but her eyes bright with pride. Admiral Santos, is the TSS Prometheus ready for commissioning? Yes, Madam President. All systems are operational. Crew is at ready status. Very well. The President's voice carried across the solar system. For too long, humanity has been told to wait, to be patient, to accept our place as newcomers to the galactic stage. Today, we prove that humanity's place is wherever we choose to make it. The ceremony proceeded according to naval tradition, but Elena's attention was drawn to another alert in her neural feed. The quantum sensors were detecting unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. She kept her expression neutral as she processed the data. 7 ships of unknown configuration had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Admiral. Commander Chen's voice was tight with concern in her private channel. The vessels match no known signatures in our database. They're not committee ships. Elena maintained her ceremonial posture as she issued orders through her neural link. Bring defensive systems online. Quietly, but do not power weapons unless I give the command. The unknown ships were approaching rapidly, their energy signatures suggesting technology far beyond even what the Galactic Committee possessed. Elena felt a familiar tension in her shoulders. The same tension she'd felt during humanity's first contact with alien life 30 years ago. President Chen was concluding her speech. And with this commissioning, we declare that humanity stands ready to take its place among the stars, not as supplicants, but as equals. As if in response to her words, the unknown vessels suddenly accelerated, crossing the distance from Neptune's orbit to Earth in mere minutes, a feat that should have been impossible. Warning alerts flashed across Elena's neural feed as the ships took up position around Earth's orbit. All stations, battle stations, Elena commanded, dropping the pretense of ceremony. But do not, I repeat, do not power weapons unless directly ordered. The Prometheus's crew responded with practiced efficiency, transforming the newly commissioned vessel from a ceremonial showpiece to a warship in seconds. Elena watched as the unknown vessels settled into a perfect hexagon formation around Earth, their hulls shifting like liquid metal. A transmission burst from the lead vessel, bypassing all encryption and security protocols to appear directly in Elena's neural feed. The message was simple, but it sent chills down her spine. The children have built their first sword. Now we shall see if they are worthy to wield it. The massive alien vessels shimmered, their hulls becoming transparent to reveal vast cities within. Entire civilizations contained in each ship, and at their centers, beams of pure energy watch humanity with ancient, calculating eyes. Elena straightened her back and opened a channel to all ships and stations. This is Admiral Santos. As of this moment, I am declaring Situation Omega. All civilian vessels are to clear the space lanes immediately. Prometheus crew, prepare for emergency launch sequence. The commissioning ceremony forgotten, Elena watched as the alien vessels began to move, their formation tightening around Earth like a closing fist. Humanity's greatest achievement was about to face its first test, and Elena had a feeling passing it would require more than just superior firepower. "Madam President," she said quietly, "I believe first contact protocols may need to be revised. We're dealing with something far beyond committee technology." The quantum core of the Prometheus hummed to life, its power building as humanity prepared to prove itself to beings that seemed more like gods than aliens. Elena could only hope that all their preparations, all their defiance of committee restrictions, had made them ready for whatever test these ancient watchers had in mind. As the massive battleship broke free from its construction cradle, Elena felt the weight of history on her shoulders. This was the moment humanity had been building toward, not just the completion of the Prometheus, but the chance to prove they deserved their place among the stars. "All hands," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension. "This is your admiral speaking. Whatever happens next will be recorded in human history for generations to come. Let's show our visitors why humanity built the Titans." The Prometheus's engines ignited, pushing the massive vessel forward to meet its destiny, while 7 pairs of ancient eyes watched to see if humanity would rise to their challenge or fall like so many civilizations before them. Trial by fire. The TSS Prometheus hung in space between Earth and the 7 ancient vessels, its massive hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Admiral Elena Santos stood on the bridge, her neural feed streaming constant updates about the mysterious visitors. Their ships defied every known law of physics, their hulls seeming to exist in multiple dimensions at once. "Analysis of their transmission?" Elena asked, keeping her eyes on the main viewport. Commander Chen shook his head. "Nothing concrete, Admiral. The message bypassed every security system we have. It's like they weren't even there." "Children building swords," Elena muttered, recalling their cryptic message. "Well, if they want to test us, they'll need to be more specific than that." As if in response to her words, the alien vessels suddenly pulsed with energy. A new message flooded every display on the bridge. "The first trial begins. Protect what is precious." Before Elena could respond, alarms blared across the ship. Multiple FTL signatures detected. Lieutenant Sarah Wong called out from the tactical station. "They're appearing near the Mars colony." Elena's neural feed lit up with new contacts. Dozens of ships emerging from faster-than-light travel near Mars. Unlike the ancient vessels observing them, these ships were clearly hostile. Their angular predatory designs bristled with weapons, and they were heading straight for the Mars colony's defensive perimeter. This is their test, Elena realized. Combat alert. All hands to battle stations. Navigation. Plot an intercept course to Mars. Engineering. I want full power to the quantum core. The Prometheus's massive engines flared to life, pushing the battleship toward Mars at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade ago. Elena watched as the hostile fleet engaged Mars' orbital defenses, their weapons tearing through the colony's outer defensive ring with frightening ease. Time to intercept, she demanded. 4 minutes at current acceleration, navigation reported. But Admiral, the enemy fleet will breach the colony's inner defenses in 3. Elena's jaw tightened. The Prometheus was humanity's most powerful warship, but it had never been tested in actual combat. Everything they knew about its capabilities came from simulations and controlled tests. Now, with thousands of colonists' lives at stake, they would have to push beyond those careful limitations. Engineering. Divert power from all non-essential systems to the quantum core, she ordered. Prepare for emergency FTL jump. Commander Chen's eyes widened. Admiral, we haven't tested the short-range jump systems in real combat conditions. The strain cold. Could tear the ship apart, yes, Elena finished. But if we don't make it in time, those colonists die. Initialize jump sequence. The quantum core's hum rose to a fever pitch as energy coursed through the massive vessel. Warning indicators flashed across Elena's neural feed. The power buildup was exceeding safety parameters, pushing the ship's systems to their absolute limits. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted around the Prometheus as it tore through spacetime, covering millions of kilometers in an instant. They emerged directly between the hostile fleet and Mars colony, the massive battleship's sudden appearance causing several enemy vessels to scatter in surprise. All weapons free to engage, Elena commanded. Prioritize ships targeting the civilian sectors. The Prometheus's main batteries opened up, rail guns accelerating projectiles to relativistic speeds, while energy weapons cut through space. The enemy fleet responded immediately, concentrating their fire on the human battleship. Energy blasts splashed against the Prometheus's quantum shields, the advanced defensive technology proving its worth as it absorbed attacks that would have vaporized lesser vessels. But Elena could see from her neural feed that the shields wouldn't last forever against this kind of firepower. Multiple hits on decks 4 through 7, damage control reported. Shields holding at 60%, but we're seeing power fluctuations in the grid. Elena watched as the tactical display updated, showing the enemy fleet's formation. They were good, probably automated ships controlled by advanced AI, given their perfect coordination. But they were fighting according to known tactical doctrines. Predictable. Testable. Tactical. Prepare to execute Maneuver Theta. Elena ordered. Engineering. I need everything you can give me to the forward shields. The Prometheus turned its broadside to the enemy fleet, seemingly exposing its vulnerable flank. The enemy took the bait, concentrating their fire on what they perceived as a tactical mistake. But as their weapons converged on the battleship's position, Elena allowed herself a small smile. Execute Theta. All batteries, fire. The Prometheus's quantum core pulsed, creating a localized distortion in spacetime. Enemy fire bent around the ship's hull, their own weapons' energy feeding back into the quantum field. Simultaneously, every weapon on the Titan-Class Battleship opened up, the combined firepower amplified by the quantum distortion. Space itself seemed to warp as the Prometheus's attack struck home. Enemy ships vanished in balls of plasma, their advanced technology proving insufficient against humanity's desperate innovation. Those that survived the initial barrage scattered, their perfect formation breaking apart. Press the advantage, Elena commanded. Launch fighter squadrons, don't let them regroup. The Prometheus's hangars opened, disgorging swarms of human fighters. Unlike the main battleship, these were conventional craft, but their pilots had trained for this moment their entire careers. They pursued the fleeing enemy ships with precision and determination, exploiting the confusion caused by their mothership's devastating attack. Enemy fleet at 40% strength and falling, Tactical reported. They're attempting to retreat. Alina watched as the remaining hostile ships tried to coordinate their withdrawal. Don't let them escape. We need to show our visitors that humanity can finish what we start. The Prometheus moved forward inexorably, its main gun speaking again and again. Each shot found its mark with deadly accuracy, guided by both human intuition and advanced targeting systems. Within minutes, the space around Mars was clear of hostile forces, the only evidence of the battle being scattered debris and the lingering distortions from the quantum weapons effects. As the last enemy ship vanished in a ball of plasma, Alina turned her attention to the 7 ancient vessels that had watched the entire engagement. They remained in their perfect formation, silent observers to humanity's trial by fire. "Damage report," she ordered, though her neural feed was already providing the details. "Shields at 30%, minor structural damage to outer hull plates," Commander Chen reported. "No casualties. The quantum core is stable but showing signs of stress from the emergency jump." Alina nodded, then opened a channel to the Mars colony. "This is Admiral Santos of the TSS Prometheus. Is everyone all right down there?" "Confirmed, Admiral," came the relief response. "Some damage to our outer facilities, but no breaches of the main habitat. You arrived just in time." Before Alina could respond, new data flooded her neural feed. The ancient vessels were moving, their formation shifting to create what appeared to be a massive display in space itself. Words formed in the void. "The sword is sharp, but a blade alone does not make a warrior. The second trial approaches. Prepare." Alina felt a chill run down her spine as she processed the message. They had proven they could fight, but these beings clearly had more tests in mind. The Prometheus had performed beyond expectations, but the strain on its systems from this single engagement was significant. How many more trials would they face? And more importantly, what were these ancient beings really testing? "Begin repairs immediately," she ordered, "and download all combat data for analysis. Something tells me we're going to need every advantage we can get for whatever comes next." As repair drones swarmed over the Prometheus's hull, Alina watched the ancient vessels resume their silent vigil. They had passed the first test, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they had only seen the beginning of what these mysterious beings had in store for humanity. The ancient warning. The repair drones swarmed across the Prometheus's hull like luminous insects, sealing damaged plates and reinforcing stressed sections. Admiral Alina Santos watched their progress through her neural feed while reviewing the battle data from their engagement near Mars. Something about the attack pattern bothered her. It had been too precise, too calculated. "Commander Chen," she called out. "Analysis of the enemy fleet's debris." Chen's hologram materialized beside her on the bridge. "That's what's strange, Admiral. There's almost nothing left to analyze. The wreckage is dissolving." Alina frowned. "Dissolving?" "Yes, Mom. Whatever those ships were, they weren't built to leave evidence behind. But we did manage to capture some energy readings before they disappeared completely. They match nothing in our database or the Galactic Committee's shared archives." A new message flashed across Alina's neural feed. "The children begin to ask the right questions. The second trial begins now." The 7 ancient vessels moved suddenly, arranging themselves in a new pattern. Energy beams connected them, forming a massive geometric structure in space. At its center, a void opened, a perfect darkness that seemed to swallow light itself. "Admiral," Lieutenant Wang's voice was tense. "Something's coming through." From the void emerged a single object, a crystalline sphere no larger than a human hand. It hung in space between the Prometheus and the ancient vessels, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to bypass normal space. "We're receiving a transmission," Wang reported. It's coming from the sphere." The message that filled their screens was different this time. Not just words, but images, data, and concepts that seemed to burn themselves directly into Alina's consciousness through her neural link. She gasped as understanding flooded her mind. "They're not testing us," she whispered. "They're preparing us." The sphere's data showed scenes from across the galaxy. Civilizations rising and falling, entire species being erased from existence. And behind it all, a darkness moving between the stars, consuming everything in its path. The images were ancient, some dating back millions of years, but their meaning was clear. "Get me Earth Command," Alina ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of what she'd just learned. "And find a way to secure that sphere. We're going to need it." Before anyone could respond, proximity alarms blared. Multiple ships were appearing around them, but these weren't the mysterious attackers from Mars. These were galactic committee vessels, their organic hulls gleaming as they surrounded the Prometheus. "This is High Commissioner Zextal of the Galactic Committee," a new voice announced across all channels. "You will power down your weapons and surrender the artifact immediately. Your species is not authorized to possess such technology." Alina felt a surge of anger. The committee had ignored humanity's warnings, dismissed their achievements, and now they wanted to seize perhaps the most important discovery in human history. "This is Admiral Santos," she responded. "The artifact appeared in Earth space and has shared information vital to humanity's survival. We will not surrender it. Your primitive species cannot comprehend the dangers of such technology," Zextal insisted. "Stand down, or we will be forced to." The commissioner's threat was cut off as the sphere suddenly pulsed with energy. New data flooded the neural feeds of everyone aboard the Prometheus. But this time, it was different. Technical specifications, quantum formulae, and engineering principles far beyond current human science poured into their minds. "Admiral," Chief Engineer Patel's voice was filled with awe. "These designs, they're upgrades for the Prometheus. Implementations of technology we've only theorized about. With this, we could match the committee's ships," Alina finished, "or better." She opened a channel to all hands. "Begin implementation of new protocols immediately. Priority to defensive systems and the quantum core." The committee ships were moving closer, their weapons charging, but Alina's attention was drawn to the ancient vessels watching silently above them. Their message was clear now. This wasn't just a test of humanity's military might or technological prowess. It was a test of their wisdom, their judgment, and their right to survive what was coming. "Commissioner," Alina broadcast openly, "the artifact has shown us what's out there, what's been consuming civilizations for millions of years. We can fight it, or we can stand aside and watch it devour us all. Your choice." As if to emphasize her words, the sphere projected its message to all ships in range. Alina watched as the committee vessel's crews received the same visions she had, the same warnings, the same terrible truth about what lurked in the darkness between galaxies. "Impossible," Zextal whispered. "The ancient threat. It was supposed to be a myth." "Myths don't leave evidence across a million worlds," Alina responded. "And they don't send guardians to prepare the younger races for war." The Prometheus's systems were changing as they spoke, quantum pathways realigning themselves according to the sphere's specifications. Energy readings were off the charts, but somehow the ship was adapting, evolving. Alina could feel it through her neural link. The vessel was becoming something more than its creators had imagined. "The question isn't whether humanity is ready for this technology, Commissioner," Alina continued. "The question is whether we're all ready for what's coming. Because those beings up there," she gestured to the ancient vessels, "they've been fighting this war longer than our species has existed. And now they're choosing us, all of us, to carry on that fight." The committee ships held their position, weapons still charged but no longer targeting the Prometheus directly. Alina could almost feel the confusion and fear radiating from their crews as they processed the sphere's revelations. "We don't have time for politics or species pride," Alina pressed. "Whatever this threat is, it's been destroying civilizations since before we learned to make fire. But we have something now that those other civilizations didn't. We have warning, we have preparation, and we have a choice." The sphere pulsed again, and new images filled their minds, not of destruction this time, but of possibility. Ships of human and committee design fighting side by side, technologies merged, species united against the darkness. The third trial approaches, the ancient vessels broadcast. Choose wisely, children of the stars. Unity or extinction. There is no middle path. Alina watched as the committee ship's energy signatures fluctuated, their crews clearly debating their next move. The Prometheus's upgrades were nearly complete, its systems now operating on principles that would have seemed like magic just hours ago. "Commissioner," she said softly, "we can fight each other, or we can fight together. But choose quickly, because something tells me our time is running out." The silence that followed seemed to stretch for eternity. Above them, the ancient vessels waited, their patient vigil a reminder that they had seen this choice made countless times before. The question now was whether humanity and the committee would learn from the failures of the past or repeat them. As Alina waited for the commissioner's response, she couldn't help but wonder, what horrors had these ancient beings witnessed that would make them go to such lengths to prepare younger races? And more importantly, would their preparation be enough for what was coming? Forging alliances. The silence on the bridge of the TSS Prometheus was broken by Commissioner Zextal's response. "Admiral Santos, what you ask? It goes against centuries of committee protocol." Alina watched as the committee ships maintained their formation around the Prometheus, their organic hulls shifting uneasily. Through her neural feed, she could see that the sphere's upgrades to their systems were nearly complete. The ship's quantum core now operated on principles that made their previous understanding of physics seem primitive. "Protocol won't matter much if we're all dead, Commissioner," Alina replied. "The sphere showed us both what's coming. We need to." Her words were cut off by new alarms. Space itself seemed to tear open as massive objects emerged from fold space, but these weren't committee ships or the mysterious attackers from Mars. These vessels were ancient, their hulls covered in patterns similar to the 7 observer ships, but scarred by what looked like millions of years of combat. "By the first stars," Zextal whispered. "Those are guardian vessels. They're supposed to be myths, stories told to children." The new arrivals dwarfed both the Prometheus and the committee ships, their presence commanding absolute attention. A transmission cut through all channels, bypassing every security measure, as if they didn't exist. The children argue while darkness approaches. Time grows short. "Show us your choice." Alina's neural feed suddenly blazed with new data, tactical readings that showed something massive moving at the edge of the solar system. Whatever it was bigger than anything she had ever seen, and it was headed straight for Earth. "Commissioner," Alina's voice was urgent now, "look at your long-range sensors. Tell me what you see." There was a pause, then a sharp intake of breath over the comm channel. "Impossible. Nothing could be that large." "The sphere wasn't just showing us history," Alina said. "It was showing us what's coming. Right now, we can face it together, or we can die separately. Choose." The massive shape at the edge of the solar system was resolving itself into something that defied description. A living darkness that seemed to consume the very starlight around it. Alina's tactical displays tried to calculate its size and failed. "Admiral." Commander Chen's voice was tense. "The sphere, it's doing something." The crystalline object that had transformed the Prometheus was pulsing with increasing intensity. New data flowed through Alina's neural link, not just technical specifications this time, but battle plans, strategies tested across millions of years of warfare against the darkness. "Commissioner," Alina broadcast, "I'm sending you what we're seeing. This isn't about committee protocols or species rivalry anymore. This is about survival." The sphere's light grew brighter, and suddenly Alina understood. The ancient vessels hadn't just been testing humanity. They'd been testing all of them. The attacks, the revelations, the choice now forced upon them. It was all to prepare them for this moment. "The Prometheus's systems have been upgraded," Alina continued. "We can share these upgrades with your ships. We can fight together. But you need to decide now." The massive darkness was closer now, its presence causing instruments across the solar system to malfunction. The 7 observer ships remained in their formation, silent witnesses to this crucial moment. Finally, Commissioner Zextel spoke. "The committee has existed for 10,000 years. Admiral, we have never faced anything like this. Never imagined." There was a pause. "What do you propose?" Alina allowed herself a small smile. "First, we stop pointing weapons at each other. Then, we prepare for the fight of our lives." She turned to her crew. "Begin transmitting upgrade protocols to the committee ships. Show them everything the sphere showed us." The next hours were a blur of activity. Committee ships docked with the Prometheus, their crews working alongside humans to implement the sphere's upgrades. Ancient technology merged with new, creating hybrid systems that surpassed anything either civilization had created alone. Elena stood at her command station, watching as the combined fleet took shape. Committee organic tech merged seamlessly with human quantum systems, creating defenses that could actually stand against what was coming. The Guardian vessels positioned themselves around the fleet, their ancient weapons ready to support the younger races. "Admiral," Commander Chen reported, "the last upgrades are complete. The combined fleet is ready." Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the approaching darkness. The tactical displays were clearer now, showing details that made her blood run cold. The entity wasn't just one creature. It was billions of smaller ones, moving as a single consciousness, consuming everything in their path. "This is what the Ancient Ones have been fighting," she said quietly. "This is why they needed us to work together. One species alone could never stand against this." The sphere pulsed one final time, its light spreading to encompass the entire fleet. In that moment, Alina saw what the ancient beings had known all along, that the real test wasn't about technology or military might. It was about whether younger races could overcome their differences in the face of extinction. "All ships, battle stations," Alina commanded, her voice carrying across the combined human committee fleet. "Form up on the Prometheus. We hold the line here. For Earth, for the committee worlds, for all life in this galaxy." As the fleet moved into position, the 7 observer ships transmitted one final message. "The children have chosen. Now they must prove their choice was worthy. The final trial begins." The darkness approached, its massive form now visible to the naked eye. A writhing mass of void-black tentacles and impossible geometries that hurt to look at. But Alina felt no fear. They had passed the Ancient One's true test. They had chosen to stand together. "All ships," she broadcast, "prepare to engage." The combined fleet of humanity and the committee, led by the transformed Prometheus, moved forward to meet the darkness between the stars. Above them, the Guardian vessels and observer ships watched, waiting to see if their faith in the younger races would prove justified. The greatest battle in human history was about to begin, and Alina Santos knew that win or lose, this day would be remembered for as long as their species existed. The question was whether that would be for years to come, or only for the next few hours. The void eternal. The void black mass approaching Earth defied conventional physics. Where it passed, stars seemed to dim, as if light itself feared to touch it. On the bridge of the TSS Prometheus, Admiral Alina Santos watched as their sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "Analysis?" she asked, her neural feed streaming constant updates from the combined fleet. "It's adapting," Commander Chen reported, his voice tense. "Every scan we make, it changes its structure, like it's learning from our attempts to study it." The massive entity had slowed its approach, spreading out into a formation that mirrored their own. Countless smaller creatures, each the size of a destroyer, moved like a single organism. They reminded Alina of Earth's deep-sea predators, ancient, intelligent, and utterly alien. "Energy spike," Lieutenant Wong called out. "There." The void creatures attacked without warning. They didn't use weapons in any conventional sense. Instead, space itself seemed to twist around them. Ships at the edge of the formation simply ceased to exist, their matter absorbed into the darkness. All ships, evasive action. Elena commanded. Implement pattern Omega-3. Don't let them isolate any vessels. The combined human committee fleet moved as one, their upgraded systems allowing for coordination that would have been impossible just hours ago. The Prometheus led the charge, its quantum weapons tearing holes in the void creature's formation. But the enemy adapted quickly. Each successful attack was met with a new defense. Each strategy countered almost before it could be implemented. It was like fighting against an intelligence that had seen every possible move, every potential tactic. Admiral. Commissioner Zextel's voice came through the command channel. We're losing ships faster than they can reform. These beings, they're not just destroying our vessels, they're absorbing them, learning from them. Elena watched as another committee ship vanished into the darkness. Then we need to show them something they've never seen before, something they can't adapt to. She opened a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Santos. Implement Protocol Terminus. Protocol Terminus was theoretical, a desperate plan born from the merger of human quantum technology and committee organic tech. They had no proof it would work, but they were running out of options. Engineering reports ready, Chen announced. But Admiral, if this fails, we won't be alive to regret it. Elena finished. All ships, synchronize quantum cores with the Prometheus. Prepare for wide field collapse on my mark. The fleet moved into a new formation, their ships creating a perfect geometric pattern. Energy began to flow between vessels, quantum cores pulsing in harmony. The void creatures seemed to hesitate, sensing something new in their ancient existence. They're responding, Wang reported, multiple contacts converging on our position. The darkness surged forward, countless tentacles of pure void reaching for the fleet. But Elena waited, watching as their power built. The sphere's upgrades had given them this one chance, the ability to manipulate reality itself on a scale even the ancient ones might fear. Now, Elena commanded. Every quantum core in the fleet pulsed simultaneously. Reality shuddered as space-time itself was torn open, creating a cascade of dimensional rifts. The void creatures nearest to the fleet were caught in the effect, their matter twisted and torn by forces they couldn't adapt to fast enough. For the first time, they heard something from the darkness. Not a sound, but a feeling of ancient pain transmitted directly into their minds. The void creatures recoiled, their perfect coordination temporarily broken. Press the advantage, Elena ordered. All ships, concentrate fire on their exposed cores. The combined fleet struck as one, their weapons enhanced by the dimensional distortions they had created. Where before their attacks had been absorbed or deflected, now they struck home. Pieces of void matter exploded into normal space, dissolving into nothing as their impossible physics failed. But the victory was short-lived. The main mass of void creatures had already adapted, their structure changing to account for the new threat. They struck back with terrible force, their attacks now carrying the same dimensional instability the fleet had used against them. Hull breach on decks 12 through 15, Chen reported. Quantum core stability dropping. Elena watched as ships began to fall, both human and committee vessels torn apart by forces they barely understood. The void creatures were learning, adapting, becoming stronger with each passing moment. Admiral, Zextel's voice was grim. My tacticians estimate total fleet loss in less than 10 minutes at current exchange rates. We need something more. Elena's neural feed suddenly blazed with new data. The sphere, silent since the battle began, was active again. But this time, the information it provided was different. Not tactical data or technical specifications, but something far more fundamental. The void fears change, she whispered, understanding flooding her mind. It adapts because it must, but adaptation means becoming something new, and after billions of years of existence. She opened a channel to all ships. All vessels, prepare for total quantum core overload. We're not going to fight these things, we're going to force them to evolve faster than they can handle. Admiral, A core overload of that magnitude would destroy the fleet, Chen protested. No, Alina said, her eyes fixed on the sphere's data. It'll transform us. The Ancient Ones didn't just upgrade our ships. They gave us the ability to become something new, something the void has never seen in all its eons of existence. The darkness was closing in around them, its massive form blocking out the stars themselves. But Alina saw now what she had missed before, the pattern in its movements, the fear hidden beneath its ancient hunger. All ships, she broadcast, her voice steady. Prepare for Transcendence Protocol. We're about to show these ancient horrors what humanity and the Committee can really do when we work together. The sphere pulsed one final time, its light spreading to encompass the entire fleet. Above them, the 7 observer ships moved into position, their ancient weapons ready to support what was about to happen. The final phase of the battle was about to begin, and Alina Santos knew that what came next would either save their civilizations or end them completely. The void had existed for billions of years, consuming countless species, but it had never faced anyone quite like humanity. A species too stubborn to accept defeat, too innovative to follow the rules, and now armed with technology that could reshape reality itself. All ships, she commanded, initiate final protocol. Let's show them what evolution really means. Humanity's stand. The quantum cores of every ship in the combined fleet pulsed in perfect synchronization, their energy building to levels that threatened to tear reality apart. On the bridge of the TSS Prometheus, Admiral Alina Santos felt the change beginning, not just in the ships, but in their crews as well. All vessels reporting ready, Commander Chen announced, his voice distorting slightly as the transformation took hold. Quantum resonance at maximum capacity. The void creatures sensed the change coming. Their massive form contracted, countless tentacles of living darkness pulling back, as if in recognition of something they hadn't seen in billions of years of existence. They remember, Alina realized, the sphere's knowledge flooding her consciousness. They remember the last time something evolved beyond their understanding. The 7 ancient observer vessels moved into position around the fleet, their patterns glowing with power accumulated over millions of years. Now Alina understood their purpose, not just to test and prepare, but to witness and support this moment of transformation. All ships, Alina broadcast, her voice carrying across dimensions, initiate final evolution protocol. Remember who you are, what you fight for, and what we can become together. The quantum cores detonated. But instead of destruction, there was transformation. The energy release didn't tear the ships apart. It reformed them, rebuilt them, transformed them into something that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Human and Committee crew members felt their consciousness expand, their understanding growing beyond physical limitations. The Prometheus led the change, its massive hull becoming translucent, then transparent, then transcendent. Alina felt her mind merge with the ship's systems, with her crew, with the very fabric of space-time around them. They were becoming something new, something that could face the void on its own terms. The void creatures attacked, trying to stop the transformation. But where before their touches had meant instant destruction, now they passed through the fleet harmlessly. The combined forces of humanity and the Committee had evolved beyond physical form, becoming beings of pure energy and consciousness. Now, Alina commanded, her thoughts reaching across the transformed fleet, show them what we've become. The battle that followed defied conventional description. The fleet didn't fight with weapons, but with reality itself. They tore holes in space-time, created and collapsed dimensions, forced the void creatures to adapt and change faster than their ancient existence could handle. The void fought back with the experience of eons, but for the first time in its existence, it faced something truly new. The combined fleet's transformation had created a force that could match its ability to adapt, to change, to evolve. They're retreating. Commissioner Zextel's thoughts merged with Alina's. But not just physically. They're retreating across dimensional barriers. Alina felt the truth of it. The void creatures were pulling back, their ancient consciousness recognizing something they hadn't felt in billions of years. Fear. Fear of change, fear of evolution, fear of becoming something other than what they had always been. Push harder, Elena commanded. Don't let them recover. Show them that evolution isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. The transformed fleet surged forward, their combined consciousness creating patterns of reality that forced the void to adapt or die. Where before the darkness had absorbed and consumed, now it was being consumed, not by destruction, but by change. The 7 observer vessels added their power to the attack, their ancient energy merging with the fleet's transformation. The sphere pulsed one final time, its light becoming part of the greater whole. The void's retreat became a rout. Its massive form began to break apart, not into destruction but into transformation. The very thing it had feared, change, evolution, becoming something new, was being forced upon it. They're not just retreating, Elena realized. They're evolving. We're making them evolve. The darkness that had consumed countless civilizations was itself being consumed by change. Its ancient consciousness, set in patterns billions of years old, was being forced to transform into something new, something that could exist in harmony with the universe rather than feeding upon it. As the last of the void creatures transformed, Elena felt a new presence in their expanded consciousness. The observers, the guardians, the ancient ones who had watched and waited for this moment. The children have succeeded. Their thoughts echoed across dimensions. Where force failed, understanding prevailed. Where destruction was met with destruction for eons, transformation has brought victory. The combined fleet, still existing in their transformed state, watched as the last traces of the void disappeared, not destroyed, but changed into something new, something that might one day return not as a threat, but as fellow seekers of understanding. Admiral. Chen's thoughts reached her. The transformation. It's permanent, isn't it? Elena looked at her fleet, human and committee ships now existing as beings of pure energy and consciousness, their former physical forms mere memories. They had become something beyond what either civilization had imagined possible. We can't go back, she acknowledged. But we can go forward. Together. The observer vessels began to fade, their ancient purpose finally fulfilled. But before they disappeared, they left one final message. The children have grown. The galaxy is yours now, not to rule, but to protect, to guide, to help others face their own moments of transformation. The cycle continues, but now with hope instead of fear. Elena Santos, once a human admiral, and now something far more, looked out at the transformed fleet that had once been ships of metal and organic technology. They had faced the darkness that had haunted the galaxy for billions of years, and they had overcome it not through destruction, but through the very thing it feared most, change. All ships, she broadcast, her consciousness reaching across dimensions, set course for home. We have a lot to teach our people about what we've become. The fleet that had once been the combined forces of humanity and the committee moved through space-time, their transformed existence a beacon of hope for the future. They had faced the ultimate test, not just of their military might or technological prowess, but of their ability to embrace change, to evolve, to become something more than they had been. The stars seemed brighter now, as if the universe itself was celebrating their victory. And in the infinite depths of space, countless younger civilizations looked up at their night skies, unaware that they had just been saved not by destruction, but by transformation, and that one day they too would face their own moment of evolution, guided by those who had gone before. The TSS Prometheus led the way home, its transformed existence a testament to humanity's greatest strength, not the power to destroy, but the courage to change.